All right, everyone, you may be aware that North Korea right now has issued a threat not to attend the actual peace summit in Singapore come, I believe, next month, if I remember correctly, based on the fact that the U.S. and South Korea attend joint drills before then. Now, North Korea agreed to attend the summit knowing that those drills were planned. You've got to keep that in mind. It's not like the U.S. and South Korea just all of a sudden, sideswiped him and said, "Hey, we're gonna do military drills right before the summit. I hope you don't mind that, Kim." That's not what happened. They knew full well. Therefore, this is a calculated, very strategic thing that they're saying. Now, Trump has a real easy workaround here. What he needs to say is something that will both hard and softball them at the same time. He could come out and say, well, then it's back to the little red button. That wouldn't be a great idea. And he could say, okay, well, then we won't hold the drills, we'll do whatever. That would be perceived of as weak, even though it would allow the summit to go forward, but it'd put the U.S. on a lower footing in the summit. See, the idea of North Korea is to create a lose-lose situation for Uncle Sam because it's all about negotiations. At the end of the day, it's about wanting to remove those embargoes and go back to business as usual, which doesn't include reunification of Korea. It includes basically continuing separation. Trump has a workaround, though. What Trump should say is, yeah, we're willing to delay the drills until after. Our hope is that the next time we do military drills, it'll simply be with Korea, not with South Korea. If he comes out with something like that, it becomes very, very difficult for the North Korean government to look both honorable and strong, puts them on the lower footing during the negotiations. If, by the way, he does end up basically responding that way, it'll probably be because Pompeo's already arranged everything beforehand anyway. He may have already threatened the North Koreans into obeisance, and this is all a floor show. I think that is a possibility. Like when Pompeo says, well, give up 4 nuclear devices before the summit as a show of good faith. If that actually happens, it won't be because Kim Jong-un thought about what Pompeo said to him, said, yeah, that's an okay idea. Okay, we've got other hydrogen bombs. Let's give up several hydrogen bombs that took us, an entire year's economic production to produce those 4 weapons? Yeah, that seems sane to me. Now, North Korea is not an insane actor. People have the wrong idea. They think of Kim Jong-un with the things that he says and the way that he acts as being off his rocker. That's totally the wrong way to look at it if you want to negotiate with North Korea. They're perfectly sane. They're just under a lot of stress. And they utilize a very insular model that requires Kim to continuously justify his own existence as essentially the undisputed dictator of the northern half of his peninsula. He's perfectly sane. He's sane enough to understand that he'll get knocked off by the next strongman if he doesn't act the way that he does. So this was natural that North Korea was going to do this, but Trump has a workaround. Now, he can also choose to say, okay, then fuck you and fuck the summit. Eventually, they may come back to the table. Unfortunately for his public approval ratings here, that wouldn't be a very great idea. Although his core fans would love it and say, oh yeah, press the button, Trump. Come on, we want some excitement. We want to be able to see like YouTube live streams from across the DMZ of the mushroom cloud. Some people would like that. I think that would be butcherous and wrong because at the very least, the North Korean government has said, yes, we're committed to reunification. We're going to end the war, denuclearize, wonderful things. Trump, though, is smart. It's not like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton thought that the idea was, we'll just softball them over and over. Bush's idea was equally bad, which is we're just going to issue vague threats and then not follow through with them over and over. Obama's had the worst foreign policy when it came to North Korea. Now, since Clinton, at least, certainly. Obama's idea was, hey, here's a red line in the sand. Don't you dare cross this red line. What'll happen if you do? Yeah, butt fuck nothing. We'll sail a boat up there. Woo, whoop-de-doo. Trump, meanwhile, threatens to annihilate them on Twitter. So there's a little bit of a difference in the strategy. I think we know which one appears to have worked better. But there's the thing. Trump has a workaround. If he uses it, it'll be brilliant, because what's North Korea going to do? Say, oh no, we're still not attending the summit, screw off, United States. It would be a way of saying, yeah, we're dedicated to performing these drills. We'll hold off because we want it to be just with Korea. Your military should be involved. At the very least, end this fucking war and we can do trilateral drills or something. It'd be funny. Get to see all those raggedy-ass 50s era North Korean vessels sailing around next to a U.S. aircraft carrier in proximity without the risk of them firing on one another. Yeah, I think that would scare China, too. North Korea has exactly one military deterrence that's actually credible, and that's its submarine fleet. Has a shit ton. I think they have more subs than any other country in the world. There's a reason for that. It's you know, basically it's its own deterrence. Even if you can't load nuclear weapons onto those subs, you can still do a hefty amount of damage with just the shorter and intermediate range ballistic missiles that they do field. Put chemical warheads on them, you could wipe out a country with as many subs as they got. Yeah, they could kill millions and millions of people in South Korea and Japan, you know, if they were ever attacked. They wouldn't need nuclear weapons to do it. It's a form of deterrence. Massive stockpile of chemicals, standard munitions in large enough numbers. Yeah, it's a little bit of a deterrence. But the thing is, we can't be afraid of North Korea. Another problem is it's like Bill Clinton. He seemed to be afraid enough of them. He's like, well, I'm afraid they might cross the DMZ. We're really ultimately not willing to get involved unless we absolutely have to. So I'm just going to try to bribe them. And what does Bill Clinton do? Here's some nuclear material. We'll set up a reactor for you. Just promise not to turn it into weapons. What's the first thing that they do once it's operational? They kick out inspectors and start producing weapons-grade material. Clinton does absolutely nothing. He had a window of opportunity there, where the U.S. military, by the way, in the 90s was at its highest preparedness level. The U.S. military, technically speaking, as far as its ability to wage a standard war, peaked in the 1990s. Trump is now rebuilding it. Bush really was the one that pissed that away. He was focused too much on his counterinsurgency proxy war bullshit, let everything else in the military suffer. Obama basically continued this and worse because he started automating the war. Basically, oh, we're going to use drones. Trust me, if you're at war with North Korea, you're not just going to be droning things. You're going to have a lot of boots on the ground. There's going to be a lot of naval and air maneuvering that's not going to involve robots. It's going to involve real flesh and blood human beings. And when they come home in caskets, the family's not going to be very happy with you. Trump, I think, understands this. Clinton, you know, for all of the bad things about him, I think Clinton understood this. Obama and Bush are part of the new school of military tactics. Bush, of course, having limited National Guard experience, no combat experience at all, and Obama never having worked a regular job, joined the military or anything. He was basically a career political nut. Very intelligentsia of him, very elitist of him. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'll take the sparkling water, Pierre. Thank you very much. But no, Trump can deflect this very easily. It's just a matter of what will his response be. It's going to be interesting to see. That's about all. Peace out.